morning, friends. Welcome to the refresher training program on APCCA rules 1991. Andhra Pradesh Civil Services Classification, Control and Appeal Rules 1991. The Governor of Andhra Pradesh made the rules via GOMS number 487, Administration Services C Department, dated 14/9/1992, in supersession of the Andhra Pradesh Civil Services Classification, Control and Appeal Rules 1963, issued in GOMS number 1376 GA Rules Department, dated 28 November 1963, and published in supplement to Part 1 of Andhra Pradesh Gazette, dated 30th January 1964. This is Part 1 General Rules. Rule 1, Short Title and Commencement. These rules may be called the Andhra Pradesh Civil Services Classification and Control and Appeal Rules 1991. They shall come into force on and after the expiration of 3 months from the date of publication of these rules in the Andhra Pradesh Gazette Part 1. Interpretation. Rule number 2. In these rules, unless the context otherwise requires, appointing authority in relation to a government servant means the authority which actually made the temporary or officiating or substantiative appointment, as the case may be, of the government servant to the post held by him at the time of initiation of disciplinary proceedings, or the authority which is under the rules regulating the recruitment to the post which the government servant for the time being holds, competent to make an appointment, whichever authority is higher. Commission. Commission means the Andhra Pradesh Public Service Commission. Disciplinary authority means the authority competent under these rules to impose on a government servant any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10. Government means the government of Andhra Pradesh. Government servant means a person who is a member of civil service of the state or a local or other authority. Governor means Governor of Andhra Pradesh. Major penalty means any of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 9, both inclusive of Rule 9. Minor penalty means any of the penalties specified in clauses 1 to 5, both inclusive of Rule 9 and in Rule 10. Service means a civil service of the state. State means the state of Andhra Pradesh. Article 311 of Constitution of India had provided the constitutional provisions laid down thereunder would apply to government servants of the state. An inquiry should be conducted. The civil office should be informed of the charges against him. He should be given a reasonable opportunity of being heard in person of those charges. A penalty may be imposed on the basis of evidence adduced during the inquiry. He shall not be dismissed or removed by an authority subordinate to that by which he was appointed. Application of rules. Rule number 3. These rules shall apply to every government servant except a person in casual employment, persons subject to discharge from service on less than 1 month's notice, persons for whom special provision is made in respect of matters covered by these rules by or under any law for the time being in force, or in any rule, or by or under any contract or agreement entered into by or with the previous approval of the government before or after the commencement of these rules in regard to matters covered by such special provisions. Members of All India Services. If any doubt arises whether these rules apply to any person or whether a person whom these rules apply belongs to a particular service, or as to which of the two or more services is the service to which such person belongs, the matter shall be referred to the government, whose decision shall be final. Rule number 4. Power to exclude from application. Notwithstanding anything contained in this Rule 3, the Governor may, by notification, published in the Andhra Pradesh Gazette exclude wholly or in part from the operation of these rules the holder of any post or the holders of any class of posts in respect of whom the governor declares that the rules cannot suitably be applied, and these rules shall thereupon, to the extent of such exclusion, cease to apply them accordingly. Part 2. Classification. Rule 5. Classification of services. The civil services of the state, the members of which are subject to these rules, shall be classified as follows: the state services and the subordinate services. A member of the civil service of the state and every person holding a civil post under the state whose services are placed at the disposal of any company, corporation, organization or local authority by the government or by any competent authority shall, for the purposes of these rules, be deemed to be a member of such civil service or be deemed to hold such civil post, notwithstanding that his salary is drawn from a source other than the consolidated fund of the state. Rule 6. Constitution of services. The state services shall consist of the services specified in Schedule 1 to these rules and includes any other services that may be notified or, as the case may be, constituted by the government from time to time. The Andhra Pradesh Forest Service Rules is incorporated in Schedule 1. Constitution of Subordinate Services, Rule 7. The subordinate services shall consist of the services specified in Schedule 2 to these rules and include any other services that may be notified or, as the case may be, constituted by government from time to time. In Schedule 2, the AP Forest Subordinate Service, AP Last Grade Service Rules, AP Ministerial Services were included at serial numbers 13, 23 and 27. Part 3. Rule 8, which specifies the suspension. A member of service may be placed under suspension from service where disciplinary proceedings against him is contemplated or is pending, or where, in the opinion of the authority competent to place the government servant under suspension, he has engaged himself in activities prejudicial to the interest of the security of the state, or where a case against him in respect of any criminal offence is under investigation, inquiry or trial. A government servant may be placed under suspension from service even if the offence for which he was charged does not have bearing on the discharge of his official duties. A government servant shall be deemed to have been placed under suspension by an order of the authority competent to place him under suspension, with effect from the date of his detention if he is detained in custody, whether on a criminal charge or otherwise, for a period exceeding 48 hours, with effect from the date of his conviction if, in the event of a conviction for an offence, he is sentenced to a term of imprisonment exceeding 48 hours and is not forthwith dismissed or removed or compulsorily retired consequent to such conviction. Explanation. The period of 48 hours referred to in Clause B of this rule shall be computed from the commencement of the imprisonment after the conviction, and for this purpose intermittent periods of imprisonment, if any, shall be taken into account. The order of suspension ceased to be operative as soon as the criminal proceedings on the basis of which the government servant was arrested and released on bail are terminated. Where a penalty of dismissal, removal or compulsory retirement imposed upon a government servant under suspension is set aside in appeal and the case is remitted for further inquiry or with any other directions, the order of his suspension shall be deemed to have continued in force and shall remain in force until further orders. Where a penalty of dismissal, removal or compulsory retirement from service imposed upon a government servant is set aside or declared are rendered void in consequence of or by a decision of a court of law, and the authority competent to impose the penalty on a consideration of the circumstances of the case decides to hold a further inquiry against him on the allegations on which the penalty of dismissal, removal, or compulsory retirement was originally imposed, the government servant shall be deemed to have been placed under suspension by the authority competent to impose the suspension from the date of the original order of dismissal, removal, or compulsory retirement, and shall continue to remain under suspension until further orders, provided that no such further inquiry shall be ordered unless it is intended to meet a situation where the court has passed an order purely on technical grounds without going into the merits of the case. An order of suspension made or deemed to have been made under this rule shall continue to remain in force until it is modified or revoked by the authority which made or is deemed to have made the order, or by any authority to which that authority is subordinate. Where a government servant is suspended or is deemed to have been suspended, whether in connection with any disciplinary proceedings or otherwise, and any other disciplinary proceedings is commenced against him during the continuance of that suspension, the authority competent to place him under suspension may, for reasons to be recorded by him in writing, direct that the government servant shall continue to be under suspension until the termination of all or any of such proceedings. An order of suspension made or deemed to have been made under this rule may at any time be modified or revoked by the authority. Part 4. Penalties and disciplinary authorities in Rule number 9. Penalties. The following penalties may, for good and sufficient reasons, and as hereinafter provided, be imposed on a government servant, namely minor penalties: censure, withholding of promotion, withholding of increments of pay without cumulative effect, suspension where has already been suspended under Rule 8 to the extent considered necessary, reduction to a lower stage in the time scale of pay for a period of not exceeding 3 years without cumulative effect and not adversely affecting his pension. Major penalties: withholding of increments of pay with cumulative effect, save as provided for a clause in clause 5b, reduction to a lower stage in the timescale of pay for a specified period with further directions as to whether or not the government servant will earn increments of pay during the period of such reduction, and whether on the expiry of such period the reduction will or will not have the effect of postponing the future increments of his pay. Reduction to lower time scale of pay, reduction to a lower grade, reduction to a post of service, which shall ordinarily be a bar to the promotion of the government servant, to the time scale of pay, grade, post, or service from which he was reduced, with or without further directions regarding conditions of restoration to the grade or post or service from which the government servant was reduced under his seniority, and pay on such restoration to that grade, post, or service. Compulsory retirement, removal from service, which shall not be a disqualification for future employment under the government. Dismissal from service, which shall ordinarily be a disqualification for future employment under the government, provided that in every case in which the charge of acceptance from any person of any gratification other than legal remuneration as a motive or reward for doing or forbearing to do any official act is established, the penalty mentioned in clause 9 or clause 10 shall be imposed, provided further that in any exceptional case and for special reasons to be recorded in writing, any other penalty may be imposed. Explanation: the following shall not amount to a penalty within the meaning of this rule, namely non-promotion, whether in a substantive or officiating capacity of a government servant, reversion of a government servant from a department in which he is on deputation to his parent department, replacement of the services of a government servant. Stoppage or postponement of increment of a government servant on account of extension of probation under Rule 26 in Part 2 of the Andhra Pradesh State and Subordinate Service Rules. Reversion of a government servant appointed on probation to any other service, grade or post to his permanent service, grade or post during or at the end of the period of probation. Reversion of a government servant officiating in a higher post to a lower post on the ground that he is considered to be unsuitable for such higher service or on any administrative ground unconnected with his conduct. Withholding of increments of pay of a government servant for his failure to pass any departmental examination. Termination of the services of a government servant appointed on probation during or at the end of the period of probation. Discharge of a government servant engaged under contract in accordance with the terms of his contract. Discharge of a government servant appointed otherwise than under contract to hold a temporary appointment on the expiration of the period of appointment. Compulsory retirement of a government servant in accordance with the provisions relating to his superannuation or retirement. Rule 10. Other penalties. In addition to the penalties specified in Rule 9 and notwithstanding anything contained therein, the following penalties may, for good and sufficient reasons and as hereinafter provided, be imposed, namely, fine on a member of the Andhra Pradesh Last State Service and on a person holding any of the posts specified in Appendix 1 to these rules. Suspension for a period of not exceeding 15 days on forest guards. Types of cases for imposing major penalties. Cases in which there is a reasonable ground to believe that a penal offence has been committed by a government servant, but the evidence forthcoming is not sufficient for prosecution in a court of law. Example: possession of disproportionate assets, obtaining or attempting to obtain illegal gratification, misappropriation of government property, money or stores, obtaining or attempting to obtain any valuable thing or pecuniary advantage without consideration or for a consideration which is not adequate, falsification of government records, gross irregularity or negligence in discharge of official duties with a dishonest motive, misuse of official position or power for personal gain, disclosure of secret or confidential information even though it does not fall strictly within the scope of the Official Secrets Act, false claims on the government like TA claims, reimbursement claims, etc., absconding from duty continuously more than a year. Rule 11. Disciplinary authorities in respect of state services. The Principal Chief Conservator of Forests may impose on Assistant Conservator of Forests any of the penalties specified in clauses 1, 2, and 4 of Rule 9. Without prejudice to the foregoing provisions, every head of the department may impose on a member of the state services under his control the penalty specified in clause 3 of Rule 9, except in the case of each member holding a post immediately below his rank, and every head of department declared to be the appointing authority may impose on a member of the state service holding a post at first level or at second level under his control any of the penalties specified in clauses 1 to 8 of Rule 9. Rule 12. Government's power to impose penalties on members of state services. Notwithstanding anything in Rule 11, the government may impose any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 on members of the state service. Rule 13. Authorities competent to suspend members of state service. The authority which may place under suspension under Rule 8 on members of the state services mentioned below. In Forest Department, the Principal Chief Conservator of Forests may place under suspension an Assistant Conservator of Forests. Rule. Other members of the state services holding initial gazetted post. Other members of the state services holding second level gazetted post. The regional authority, where no regional authority exists, the head of the department concerned. Rule 14. Disciplinary authorities and authorities competent to suspend in respect of subordinate services. The authority which may place a member of subordinate service under suspension under Rule 8 or impose on such member the penalty specified in Clause 1 of Rule 10 and Clauses 1 and Rule 6 4 of Rule 9 shall be his immediate superior gazetted officer, or where the appointing authority for such member is a non-gazetted officer, such officer or any authority to which he is subordinate. The authority which may impose on a member of a subordinate service the penalty specified in Clause 3 of Rule 9 shall be the officer next above the immediate superior gazetted officer, provided that the appointing authority or any authority to which it is subordinate may also impose the aforesaid penalty. Provided also that in the case of members belonging to the categories of officers specified in Appendix 2 to these rules, the authority which may impose any of the penalties specified in clauses 1, 3, 4 of Rule 9 or place under suspension under Rule 8 shall be as specified thereof against each such category. The authority which may impose on a member of subordinate service the penalty specified in Clause 2, 5 to 9 of Rule 9 shall be the appointing authority or any authority to which it is subordinate, provided that in case of the members of these services specified in Appendix 3 to these rules, the authority which may impose any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 and Clauses 1 of Rule 10 shall be as specified thereof against each. Rule 15. Power of appointing authority, etc. to suspend members of state and subordinate services. Notwithstanding anything in these rules, the appointing authority or any authority to which it is subordinate, including government, may also place under suspension under Rule 8 the member of a service to whom these rules apply. Disciplinary authority in case of promotion or transfer of a member of a service and on reversion or reduction therefrom. Rule 16. Where on promotion or transfer or in any other service, state or subordinate, no penalty shall be imposed upon him in respect of his work or conduct before such promotion or transfer except by authority competent to impose the penalty upon a member of the service in the latter post. Where a person has been reverted or reduced from a state service to a subordinate service or from any service to any other, no penalty shall be imposed upon him in respect of his work or conduct in the previous post, that is, from which he was reverted or reduced, except by an authority competent to impose the penalty upon a member of such service. Rule 18. Lower authority not to reopen the case. Higher authority can exercise power. Where, in any case, a higher authority has imposed or declined to impose a penalty under Rule 11, 12, or 14, a lower authority shall have no jurisdiction to proceed under these rules in respect of the same case. Wherein, any case, a lower authority has imposed a penalty or exonerated a member of service, it shall not debar a higher authority from exercising his powers under these rules in respect of the same case. The order of such higher authority shall supersede any order passed by a lower authority in respect of the same case. Rule 19. Authority to institute proceedings. The government or any authority empowered by it, general or special order, may institute disciplinary proceedings against any government servant, direct a disciplinary authority to institute disciplinary proceedings against any government servant on whom that disciplinary authority is competent to impose under these rules any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10. A disciplinary authority competent under these rules to impose any of the penalties specified in clauses 1 to 5 of Rule 9 or in Rule 10 may institute disciplinary proceedings against any government servant for the imposition of any of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9, notwithstanding that such disciplinary authority is not competent under these rules to impose any of the latter penalties. Why to institute a disciplinary proceedings? Do's. To observe certain rules and discipline in discharge of duties, either written or unwritten, expected to maintain absolute integrity, maintain devotion to duty, do nothing which is unbecoming of a government servant, and to ensure purity, integrity, and efficiency. Don'ts. Improper behavior, violation of definite procedure rules, gross negligence, perverse conduct or absence of good conduct, violation of the accepted standards of morality, decency, decorum, and propriety. Conduct unbecoming is left to the discretion of the government. Past misconduct is also punishable. Contravention of the ideal master son and servant relationship. Acts, conducts, and commissions which amount to misconduct. Act or conduct prejudicial, likely to be prejudicial to the interest and reputation of the government. Act, conduct inconsistent, incompatible with the due peaceful discharge of duty of the government. Act or conduct of the government servant makes it unsafe for the employer to retain him in service. Infidelity, unfaithfulness, dishonesty, untrustworthiness, theft, fraud, or dishonesty. Taking or giving bribes or any illegal gratification, or demanding or offering bribes or any illegal gratification. Possession of pecuniary resources, or property disproportionate to the unknown sources of income by the employee or on his behalf by any other person, which the employee cannot satisfactorily account for. Furnishing false information regarding name, age, father's name, qualification, ability, or previous service, or any other matter germane to the employment at the time of employment or during the course of employment. Falsification of government records. Gross irregularity or negligence in the discharge of official duties with a dishonest motive. Misuse of official position or power for personal gain. Disclosure of secret or confidential information even though it does not fall strictly within the scope of Official Secrets Act. False claim on the government like TA claims, reimbursement claims. Commission of criminal offence like demand and accept of illegal gratification, possession of disproportionate assets, forgery, cheating, abuse of official position with a view to obtaining pecuniary advantage for self or any other persons, or irregularities reflecting adversely on the integrity of the public servant, or lapses involving any of the following: gross negligence, recklessness, failure to report to competent authorities, exercise of discretion power without or in excess of powers jurisdiction, cause of undue loss or a concomitant gain to an individual or a set of individuals, a party or parties, flagrant violation of systems and procedure. Rule 20. Procedure for imposing major penalties, which is very important chapter in the CCA rules. This has to be very carefully be listened to. No order imposing any of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9 shall be made except after an inquiry held. Whenever the disciplinary authority is of the opinion that there are grounds for inquiring into the truth of any imputation of misconduct or misbehavior against a government servant, it may itself inquire into or appoint under this rule, as the case may be, authority to inquire into the truth thereof. Explanation. Where the disciplinary authority itself holds the inquiry, any reference to the inquiring authority shall be construed as a reference to the disciplinary authority. Amendments. The following shall be named substituted, namely, where it is proposed to hold an inquiry against a government servant under this rule and Rule 21, the disciplinary authority or the cadre controlling authority who is not designated as disciplinary authority and who is subordinate to the appointing authority can draw or cause to be drawn up the substance of imputations of misconduct or misbehavior into definite and distinct articles of charge, a statement of imputations of misconduct or misbehavior in support of each article of charge, which shall contain a statement of all relevant facts, including any admission or confession made by the government servant, a list of documents by which, and a list of witnesses by whom the articles of charge are proposed to be sustained. The disciplinary authority shall deliver or cause to be delivered to the government servant a copy of the articles of charge, the statement of imputations of misconduct or misbehavior, and its list of documents and witnesses by which each article of charge is proposed to be sustained, and copies of the said documents and statements of the said witnesses, and shall require the government servant to appear before the disciplinary authority on such day and at such time, not exceeding 10 working days, and submit a written statement of his defense and to state whether he desires to be heard in person. On the date fixed for appearance, the government servant shall submit the written statement of his defense. The disciplinary authority shall ask the government servant whether he is guilty or has any defense to make, and if he pleads guilty to any of the articles of charge, the disciplinary authority shall record the plea, sign the record, and obtain the signature of the government servant thereon. The disciplinary authority shall record findings of guilty in respect of those articles of charges to which the government servant pleads guilty. Where the government servant admits all the articles of charge, the disciplinary authority shall record its findings on each article of charge after taking such evidence as it may think fit, and shall act in the manner laid down in Rule 21. Where the government servant appears before the disciplinary authority and pleads not guilty to the charges, or refuses or omits to plead, the disciplinary authority shall record the plea and obtain the signature of the government servant thereon, and may decide to hold the inquiry itself, or if it considers it necessary to do so, appoint an inquiring authority for holding the inquiry into the charges, and also appoint a government servant or a retired government servant or a legal practitioner as presenting officer to present the case in support of the articles of charge, and adjourn the case to a date not exceeding 5 days. On the day so fixed, the disciplinary authority shall serve copies of the orders appointing the inquiring authority and the presenting officer and the government servant, and inform him that he may take the assistance of any other government servant to present the case on his behalf, but he may not engage a retired government servant or a legal practitioner for the purpose unless the presenting officer appointed by the disciplinary authority is one such, or the disciplinary authority having regard to the circumstances of the case so permits, provided that no government servant dealing in his official capacity with the case of inquiry relating to the person charged or any officer to whom an appeal may be preferred shall be permitted by the inquiring authority to appear on behalf of the person charged before the inquiring authority. Provided further that the government servant may take the assistance of any other government servant posted at any other station if the inquiring authority, having regard to the circumstances of the case and for reasons to be recorded in writing, so permits. Note 1. The government servant shall not take the assistance of any other government servant who has pending two disciplinary cases on hand in which he has to give assistance. The government servant may also take the assistance of a retired government servant to present the case on his behalf, subject to such conditions as may be specified by the government from time to time by general or special order in this behalf. The disciplinary authority shall inform the government servant to submit within 5 days a list of documents which he requires to be discovered or produced by government for the purpose of his defense, indicating the relevance of the documents so required. The disciplinary authority may, for reasons to be recorded in writing, refuse to requisition such of the documents as are, in its opinion, not relevant to the case. The disciplinary authority shall, on receipt of the notice for the discovery or production of documents, forward the same or copies thereof to the authority in whose custody or possession the documents are kept, with a requisition for the production of the documents by such date as may be specified in such requisition. On receipt of requisition referred to in clause F of the sub-rule, every authority having the custody or possession of the requisitioned documents shall produce the same before the disciplinary authority, provided that if the authority having the custody or possession of the requisitioned documents is satisfied, for reasons to be recorded by it in writing, that the production of all or any such documents would be against the public interest or security of the state, shall submit the fact to the head of the department or to the secretary of the department concerned for a decision in the matter. Such decision shall be informed to the disciplinary authority, and where the decision is to withhold production of all or any of such documents, the disciplinary authority shall, on being so informed, communicate the information to the government servant and withdraw the requisition made by it for the production or discovery of such documents, and where the decision is against withholding the production of all or any of such documents, every authority having the custody or the possession of such requisition documents shall produce the same before the disciplinary authority. Where the government servant to whom a copy of the articles of charge has been delivered does not submit the written statement of defense on or before the date specified for the purpose, or does not appear in person before the disciplinary authority, or otherwise fails or refuses to comply with the provisions of this rule, the disciplinary authority may decide to hold the inquiry ex parte, or if it considers it necessary so to do, appointing an inquiry authority for the purpose. The disciplinary authority shall, where it is not the inquiring authority, forward to the inquiring authority a copy of the articles of charge and the statement of imputations of misconduct or misbehavior, a copy of the written statement of defense, if any, submitted by the government servant, copies of the statements of witnesses referred to in Subrule 3, copies of documents referred to in Subrule 3, evidence proving the delivery of copies of the documents referred to in Subrule 3 to the government servant, and a copy of the order appointing the presenting officer. The disciplinary authority shall also forward to the inquiring authority documents received under clause G of Subrule 5 as and when they are received. After receiving the documents mentioned under Subrule 7A, the inquiring authority shall issue a notice in writing to the presenting officer and also to the government servant to appear before him on such day and at such time and place specified by him, which shall not exceed 10 days. The presenting officer and government servant shall appear before the inquiring authority on the date fixed under Rule 8. If the government servant informs the inquiring authority that he wishes to inspect the documents mentioned in Subrule 3 for the purpose of preparing his defense, the inquiring authority shall order that he may inspect the documents within 5 days, and the presenting officer shall arrange for the inspection accordingly. The inquiring authority shall call upon the government servant whether he admits the genuineness of any of the documents copies of which have been furnished to him, and if he admits the genuineness of any document, it may be taken as evidence without any proof by the concerned witnesses. The inquiring authority shall adjourn the case for inquiry to a date not exceeding 10 days for production of evidence and require the presenting officer to produce the evidence by which he proposes to prove the articles of charge. On the date fixed for recording the evidence, the oral documentary evidence by which the article of charge are proposed to be proved shall be produced by or on behalf of the disciplinary authority. The evidence shall be recorded as far as possible on day-to-day basis till the evidence on behalf of disciplinary authority is completed. The witnesses shall be examined by or on behalf of the presenting officer, and they may be cross-examined by or on behalf of the government servant. The presenting officer shall be entitled to re-examine the witnesses on any points on which they have been cross-examined, but not on any new matter without the permission of the inquiring authority. The inquiring authority may also put such questions to the witnesses as it thinks fit. If it appears necessary before the closure of the case on behalf of the disciplinary authority, the inquiring authority may, in its discretion, allow the presenting officer to produce evidence not included in the list given to the government servant, or may itself call for new evidence or recall and re-examine any witness. In such case, the government servant shall be entitled to have a copy of the list of further evidence proposed to be produced and an adjournment of the inquiry for the 3 clear days before the production of such new evidence, inclusive of the day of adjournment and the day to which the inquiry is adjourned. The inquiring authority shall give the government servant an opportunity of inspecting such documents before they are taken on the record. New evidence shall not be permitted or called for, and witnesses shall not be recalled to fill up any gap in the evidence. Such evidence may be called for only when there is an inherent lacuna or defect in the evidence which has been produced originally. When the case for the disciplinary authority is closed, the government servant shall be required to state his defense orally or in writing, as he may prefer, and to submit a list of witnesses to be examined on his behalf, for which purpose the case may be adjourned to a date not exceeding 5 days. The defense is made orally, it shall be recorded, and the government servant shall be required to sign the record. In either case, the copy of the statement of defense and the list of defense witnesses will be provided. The case shall be adjourned to a date not exceeding 10 days for production of defense witnesses. The evidence on behalf of the government servant shall then be produced. The government servant may examine himself in his own behalf if he so prefers. The witnesses produced by the government servant shall then be examined and shall be liable to cross-examination, re-examination, and examination by the inquiring authority according to the provisions applicable to the witnesses for the disciplinary authority. The inquiring authority may, after the government servant closes his case, and shall, if the government servant has not examined himself, generally question him on the circumstances appearing against him in the evidence for the purpose of enabling the government servant to explain any circumstances appearing in the evidence against him. The inquiring authority may, after the completion of the production of evidence, hear the presenting officer, if any appointed, and the government servant, or permit them to file written briefs of their respective cases if they so desire. Where a disciplinary authority competent to impose any of the penalties specified in clauses 1 to 5 of Rule 9 and in Rule 10, but not competent to impose any of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9, has itself inquired into or caused to be inquired into the articles of any charge, and the authority, having regard to its own findings or having regard to its decision on any of the findings of any of inquiring authority appointed by it, is of the opinion that specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9 should be imposed on the government servant, that authority shall forward the records of the inquiry to such disciplinary authority as is competent to impose the last mentioned penalties. The disciplinary authority to which the records are so forwarded may act on the evidence on the record, or may, if it is of the opinion that further examination of any of the witnesses is necessary in the interest of justice, recall the witnesses and examine, cross-examine, and re-examine the witnesses, and may impose on the government servant such penalty as it may deem fit in accordance with these rules. Whenever an inquiring authority, after having heard and recorded the whole or any part of the evidence in an inquiry, ceases to exercise jurisdiction therein, and is succeeded by any another inquiring authority which exercises such jurisdiction, the inquiry authority so succeeding act on the evidence so recorded by its predecessor, or partly recorded by its predecessor and partly recorded by itself, provided that if the succeeding authority is of the opinion that further examination of any of the witnesses whose evidence has already been recorded is necessary in the interest of justice, it may recall, examine, cross-examine, and re-examine any such witnesses in before provided. After conclusion of the inquiry, a report shall be prepared, and it shall contain the articles of charge and the statement of imputation of misconduct or misbehavior, the defense of the government servant in respect of each article of charge, an assessment of the evidence in respect of each article of charge, the findings on each article of charge and reasons therefore. Explanation. If in the opinion of the inquiring authority, the proceedings of the inquiry establish any article of charge different from original article of charge, it may record its findings on such article of charge, provided that the findings on such article of charge shall not be recorded unless the government servant has either admitted the facts on which such article of charge is based, or has had a reasonable opportunity of defending himself against such article of charge. The inquiring authority, where it is not itself the disciplinary authority, shall forward to the disciplinary authority the records of inquiry, which shall include the report prepared by it under clause 1, the written statement of defense, if any, submitted by the government servant, the oral and documentary evidence produced in the course of inquiry, written briefs, if any, filed by the presenting officer or the government servant or both during the course of inquiry, and the orders, if any, made by the disciplinary authority and the inquiring authority in regard to the inquiry. Preparation of article of charge. It should be in third person, designation and the period of time involved, only violation of service and departmental rules, conduct rules, irregularities has to be mentioned, misconduct or negligence, failure to maintain absolute integrity and devotion to duty, acts of commission and omissions, disobedience of orders and instructions. In case of specific breach or specific rule of the conduct rules, service rules, the specific rule violated to be mentioned. To be precise, distinct, clear, and unambiguous language should communicate the delinquent officer the grounds on which he is being charged and particular irregularities which he has committed. Should not contain discussion of evidence or give opinions or conclusions. A separate charge in respect of each separate transaction, event, or a series of related transaction, events amounting to misconduct, misbehavior. If the transactions, events amount to more than one type of misconduct, all the misconduct should be mentioned. The articles of charge should first give plain facts and then mention the nature of misconduct and misbehavior. There is no bar to include all charges of violation of departmental rules as well as criminal offences which can be taken up departmentally. The proceeding should be based on failure to observe departmental rules and regulations. All the data, date, etc. should be carefully checked before issue of the charge sheet. Statement of imputations. Statement of imputation should contain the grounds on which the charges are based and the circumstances under which it is proposed to take action against the charged officer. Should be sent along with the draft articles of charge. Should be prepared in the third person so as to be in line with the draft articles of charge. Should indicate clearly and in sufficient detail all the acts of omission or commission on which each charge is based, all instances of irregularities, etc., which are relied upon in support of the charges and which are to be proved in course of proceedings should be specifically mentioned. Superfluous matters or comments and opinions of the investigating or prosecuting officers or a discussion of the material available should be avoided. Should be confined to the narration of the facts which constitute and support the charge. Conduct of inquiry. Inquiry conduct can be conducted even on holidays. No need to examine all the witnesses. Witnesses not cited in the charge sheet can be examined at the request of the presenting officer or at the instructions of inquiry officer. Tape recorded evidence is also admissible. Evidence of accomplice can be relied upon. Conduct of inquiry. When a charge different from charge framed established, the inquiry officer can give findings of the charge if charged officer admits given reasonable opportunity. Past bad record cannot be taken into consideration for arriving at findings on the charge, but can be considered for imposing an enhanced penalty. Degree of proof is by preponderance of probability. Hearsay evidence, if it has logically probative value, is admissible. Disciplinary authority is the sole judge of the facts. Adequacy and reliability of evidence cannot be questioned before court. Court interfere when only violation of rules of procedures, natural justice, arbitrariness, no evidence, etc., not on the merits of evidence. Action on the inquiry report. The disciplinary authority, if it is not itself inquiring authority, may, for reasons to be recorded by it in writing, remit the case to the inquiring authority for further inquiry and report. The inquiring authority shall thereupon proceed to hold the further inquiry according to the provisions of Rule 20 as far as may be. The disciplinary authority shall forward or cause to be forwarded a copy of the report of the inquiry, if any, held by the disciplinary authority, or where the disciplinary authority is not the inquiring authority, a copy of the report of the inquiring authority, together with its own tentative reasons for disagreement, if any, with the findings of inquiring authority or any article of charge to the government servant, who shall be required to submit, if he so desires, his written representation or submission to the disciplinary authority within 15 days, irrespective of whether the report is favorable or not to the government servant. The disciplinary authority shall consider the representation, if any, submitted by the government servant and record its findings before proceeding further in the matter as specified in the sub-rules 4 and 5 below. If the disciplinary authority, having regard to its findings on all or any of the article of charge, is of the opinion that any of the penalties specified in clauses 1 to 5 of Rule 9 should be imposed on the government servant, it shall, notwithstanding anything contained in Rule 22, make an order imposing such penalty, provided that in every case where it is not necessary to consult the Commission, the record of the inquiry shall be forwarded by the disciplinary authority to the Commission for its advice, and such advice shall be taken into consideration before making any order imposing penalty of the government servant. If the disciplinary authority, having regard to its findings on all or any of the articles of charge and on the basis of evidence adduced during the inquiry, is of the opinion that any of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9 should be imposed on the government servant, it shall make an order imposing such penalty. It shall not be necessary to give the government servant any opportunity of making representation on the penalty proposed to be imposed, provided that in every case where it is necessary to consult the Commission, the record of the inquiry shall be forwarded by the disciplinary authority to the Commission for its advice, and such advice shall be taken into consideration before making an order imposing any such penalty on the government servant. Rule 22. Procedure for imposing minor penalties. Subject to the provisions of Sub-Rule 4 of Rule 21, no order imposing on a government servant any of the penalties specified in clauses 1 to 5 of Rule 9 and in Rule 10 shall be made except after informing the government servant in writing of the proposal to take action against him and of the imputations of misconduct or misbehavior on which it is proposed to be taken, and giving him a reasonable opportunity of making such representation as he may wish to make against the proposal. Holding an inquiry in the manner laid down in Sub-Rule 3 to Rule 23 of Rule 20, in every case in which the disciplinary authority is of the opinion that such inquiry is necessary. Taking the representation, if any, submitted by the government servant under Clause A and the record of inquiry, if any, held under Clause B into consideration. Recording a finding on each imputation of misconduct or misbehavior and consulting the Commission where such consultation is necessary. Notwithstanding anything contained in Clause B of Sub-Rule 1, if in a case it is proposed after considering representation, if any, made by the government servant under Clause A of that sub-rule to withhold increments of pay, and such withholding of increments is likely to affect adversely the amount of pension payable to the government servant, or to withhold increments of pay for a period exceeding 3 years, an inquiry shall be held in the manner laid down in Sub-Rules 3 to 23 of Rule 20 before making any order imposing on government servant any such penalty. The record of the proceedings in such cases shall include a copy of the intimation to the government servant of the proposal to take action against him, a copy of the statement of imputations of misconduct or misbehavior delivered to him, his representation, if any, the evidence produced during the inquiry, if any, the advice of the Commission, if any, the findings on each imputation of misconduct or misbehavior, the orders of the case together with the reasons therefore. Rule 23. Communication of orders. Orders made by the disciplinary authority shall be communicated to the government servant, who shall also be supplied with a copy of the report of the inquiry, if any, held by the disciplinary authority, and a copy of its findings on each article of charge, or where the disciplinary authority is not the inquiring authority, a copy of the inquiring authority and a statement of findings of the disciplinary authority, together with brief reasons for its disagreement, if any, with the findings of inquiring authority, unless they have already been supplied to him. and also a copy of the advice, if any, given by the commission, and where the disciplinary authority has not accepted the advice of the commission, a brief statement of the reasons for such non-acceptance. Rule 24, common proceedings. Where two or more government servants of the same service or different services are concerned, in any case, the government or any authority competent to impose the penalty of dismissal from service on all such government servants may make an order directing that disciplinary action against all of them may be taken in a common proceedings, provided that if the authorities competent to impose the penalty of dismissal on such government servants are different, such authorities not being the government, an order for holding such enquiry in a common proceedings may be made by the highest of such authorities with the consent of the other authorities competent to impose the said penalty on the others. Subject to the other provisions of these rules, every such order shall specify the authority which may function as the disciplinary authority for the purpose of such common proceedings, the penalty specified in Rule 9 and 10 which such disciplinary authority shall be competent to impose, whether the procedure laid down in Rule 20 and Rule 21 or Rule 22 shall be followed in the proceeding. Rule 25. Special procedure in certain cases. Notwithstanding anything contained in Rule 20 to Rule 24, where any penalty is imposed on a government servant on the ground of conduct which has led to his conviction on a criminal charge, or where the disciplinary authority is satisfied for reasons to be recorded by it in writing that it is not reasonably practicable to hold an inquiry in the manner provided in these rules, or where the governor is satisfied that in the interest of the security of the state it is not expedient to hold any inquiry in the manner provided in these rules, the disciplinary authority may consider the circumstances of the case and make such orders thereon as it deems fit, provided that the commission shall be consulted where such consultation necessary before any orders are made in any case under this rule, provided further that no such consultation with the commission is necessary before any orders are made under clause 1 of this rule. Rule 26. Waiver of procedure in certain cases. All or any of the provisions of Rules 20 to 24 may, in exceptional cases and for special and sufficient reasons to be recorded by the disciplinary authority in writing, be waived where there is a difficulty in observing fully the requirements of these rules, and those requirements can be waived without causing any injustice to the government servant charged. If, in respect of any government servant charged, a question arises whether it is reasonably practicable to hold such inquiry or give such opportunity as is referred to in Rules 20 to 24, the decision thereon of the disciplinary authority competent to impose any of the penalties specified in clauses 7 to 10 of Rule 9 on the government servant concerned shall be final. Rule 27. Action on report of Lokayukta and Upalokayukta. Notwithstanding anything contained in Rule 20 or Rule 22, where it is proposed to impose on a government servant any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10 on the basis of the recommendation contained in the report mentioned in subsection 1 of Section 12 of the Andhra Pradesh Lokayukta and Upalokayukta Act 1983, the disciplinary authority shall take action on the basis of the recommendation contained in the report after furnishing a copy of the report to the charged government servant to make a representation, if any, within a reasonable time fixed, and after taking into consideration such representation and impose any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10, provided that the disciplinary authority for the purpose of this rule shall be the authority under Rule 2C or as specified under Clause C of Section 2 of the Andhra Pradesh Lokayukta and Upalokayukta Act. The Complaints Committee report on allegations of sexual harassment and atrocities on women shall be deemed to be an inquiry report under these rules, notwithstanding anything contained in Rule 20 or Rule 22 where it is proposed to impose on government impose on government servant any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10 on the basis of the inquiry report of the complaints committee, the disciplinary authority shall take action on the basis of recommendations contained in the inquiry report after furnishing a copy of the report to the charged government servant to make a representation, if any, within a reasonable time fixed, and after taking into consideration such representation and impose any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10. Part 6 Appeals. Rule 32. Orders against which no appeal lies. Notwithstanding anything contained in this part, no appeal shall lie against any order made by the governor, any order of an interlocutory nature or of the nature of a step in aid of the final disposal of disciplinary proceedings other than an order of suspension, any order by an inquiring authority in the course of the inquiry under Rule 20, Rule 33. Orders against which appeal lies. Subject to the provisions of Rule 32, a government servant may prefer an appeal as hereinafter provided against all or any of the following orders, namely, an order of suspension made or deemed to have been made under Rule 8, an order imposing any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10, whether made by the disciplinary authority or by an appellate authority or revising authority, an order enhancing any penalty imposed under Rule 9 or Rule 10, an order discharging him in accordance with the terms of his contract if he has been engaged in a contract for fixed or for an indefinite period and has rendered under either form of contract continuous service for a period exceeding 5 years at the time when his services are so discharged, and an order reducing withholding the maximum pension including an additional pension eligible to him under the rules governing pension. Subject to the provisions of Rule 32, a member of a subordinate service may, he has hereinafter provided, prefer an appeal against an order passed by an authority subordinate to the government, varying to his disadvantage his conditions of service, pay, allowances, or pension as regulated in rules or in a contract of service, and interpreting to his disadvantage the provisions of any rules or contract of service whereby his conditions of service, pay, allowances, or pension are regulated. Explanation in this rule. The expressions government servant and member of a subordinate service include a person who has ceased to be in government service. Rule 34. Appellate authorities. A government servant, including who has ceased to be in government service, may prefer an appeal against all or any of the orders specified in Rule 33 to the authorities as follows. An appeal from an order passed by the High Court shall lie to the governor. An appeal from an order imposing on a member of a state service any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or placing such member under suspension under Rule 8 passed by the head of the department shall lie to the government, and an appeal from an order passed by a lower authority shall lie to the head of the department. Notwithstanding anything contained in Sub-Rule 1, an appeal against an order in a common proceedings held under Rule 24 shall lie to the authority to which the authority functioning as disciplinary authority for the purpose of that proceeding is immediately subordinate. Where the person who made the order appealed against becomes, by virtue of his subsequent appointment or otherwise, the appellate authority in respect of such order, an appeal against such order shall lie to the authority to which such person is immediately subordinate, and if there is no such authority, by an authority appointed by the government. Rule 35. Period of limitations for appeal. No appeal preferred under this rule shall be entertained unless such appeal is preferred within a period of 3 months from the date on which a copy of the order appealed against is delivered to the appellant. Rule 36. Forum and contents of appeal. Every person preferring an appeal shall do so separately and in his own name. The appeal shall contain all material statements and arguments relied on by the appellant and shall be complete in itself and shall not contain any disrespectful or improper language. It shall be presented to the authority to whom the appeal lies, a copy being forwarded by the appellate to the authority which made the order appealed against. The authority which made the order appealed against shall, on receipt of a copy of the appeal, forward the same with its comments thereon, together with the relevant records to the appellate authority without any avoidable delay and without waiting for any direction from the appellate authority. Rule 37, Consideration of Appeal. In the case of an appeal against an order of suspension, the appellate authority shall consider whether, in the light of the provisions of Rule 8 and having regard to the circumstances of the case, the order of suspension is justified or not, and confirm or revoke the order accordingly. In the case of an appeal against an order imposing any of the penalties specified in Rule 9 or Rule 10, or enhancing any penalty imposed under the said rules, the appellate authority shall consider whether the procedure laid down in these rules has been complied with, and if not, whether such non-compliance has resulted in the violation of any provisions of the Constitution of India or in failure of justice. Whether the findings of the disciplinary authority are warranted by the evidence on the record, and whether the penalty or the enhanced penalty imposed is adequate, inadequate, or severe, and pass orders confirming, enhancing, reducing, or setting aside the penalty, or remitting the case to the authority which imposed or enhanced the penalty, or to any other authority with such direction as it may deem fit in the circumstances of the case, provided that the Commission shall be consulted in all cases where such consultation is necessary. If the enhanced penalty which the appellate authority proposed to impose is one of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9, and an inquiry under Rule 20 has not already been held in the case, the appellate authority shall, subject to the provisions of Rule 25 itself, hold such inquiry or direct that such inquiry be held in accordance with the provisions of Rule 20, and thereafter, on consideration of the proceedings of such inquiry, make such orders as it may deem fit. If the enhanced penalty which the appellate authority proposes to impose is one of the penalties specified in clauses 6 to 10 of Rule 9, and an inquiry under Rule 20 has already been held in the case, the appellate authority shall make such orders as it may deem fit after the appellant has been given a reasonable opportunity of making a representation. Subject to the provisions of Rule 25, the appellate authority shall, where the enhanced penalty which the appellate authority proposes to impose is one of the specified in clause 4 of Rule 9 and falls within the scope of the provisions contained in Subrule 2 of Rule 22, and where an inquiry in the manner laid down in Rule 20 has not already been held in the case itself, holds such inquiry or direct that such inquiry be held in accordance with the provisions of Rule 20, and thereafter, on consideration of the proceedings of such inquiry, pass such orders as it may deem fit, and no order imposing an enhanced penalty shall be made in any other case unless the appellant has been given a reasonable opportunity as far as may be, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22, of making a representation against such enhanced penalty. In an appeal against any other order specified in Rule 33, the appellate authority shall consider all the circumstances of the case and make such orders as it may deem just and equitable. Rule 38. Review of original orders passed by the government in lieu of appeal. Every member of state service or a member of a subordinate service in whose case the government have passed original orders shall not be entitled to appeal, but shall be entitled to make separately and in his own name, within a period of 3 months from the date on which the order was communicated to him, a petition to the government for review of the orders passed by them on any of the following grounds, namely, that the order against which the petition for review is made was not passed by the competent authority, that a reasonable opportunity was not given to the petitioner for defending himself, that the petition is excessive or unjust, that the petitioner has made a discovery of new matter or evidence which he proves to the satisfaction of the government was not within his knowledge or could not be adduced by him before the order imposing the penalty was passed, and that there is an evident error or omission in the order, such as failure to apply the law of limitation or an error of procedure apparent on the face of record. Any petition for review which does not satisfy any of the above grounds shall be summarily rejected. The government shall pass such order as they think proper in respect of any petition for review that has been admitted under this rule. Rule 39. Implementation of orders in appeal. The authority which made the order appealed against shall give effect to the orders passed by the appellate authority. Part 7. Revision and Review. Rule 40. Revision. Notwithstanding anything contained in these rules, the government, or in the case of a government servant serving in a department or office under the control of a head of department, such head of the department directly under the government, or any appellate authority, or any other authority specified in this behalf by the government by a general or special order, and within such time as may be prescribed in such general or special orders, may, where a revision petition is preferred by the government servant within 1 year of the date of receipt by him of the order sought to be revised, and in cases where no such revision petition is preferred within 4 years of the date of the order proposed to be revised, either suo motu or otherwise, and after calling for the records of any inquiry and examination, revise any order of penalty made under these rules or under the rules repealed by Rule 45 after consultation with the Commission where such consultation is necessary. The said authority may exercise the power suo motu within 4 years from the date of issue of order of penalty by the competent authority, or within 1 year of the date of receipt of the petition, either confirm or reduce or set aside the order of penalty or any other order already issued, and where it is proposed to enhance the penalty, such authority may exercise the power within 4 years from the date of receipt of the petition and revise any order made under Rule 45 after consultation with the Commission where such consultation is necessary, and confirm, modify or set aside the order, or confirm, reduce, enhance or set aside the penalty imposed by the order, or impose the penalty where no penalty has been imposed, or remit the case to the authority which made the order, or to any other authority directing such authority to make such further inquiry as it may consider proper in the circumstances of the case, or pass such other orders as it may deem fit, provided that no order imposing or enhancing any penalty shall be made by any reviewing authority unless the government servant concerned has been given a reasonable opportunity of making a representation against the penalty proposed, and where it is proposed to impose any of the major penalties specified in Rule 9 or to enhance the minor penalty imposed by the order sought to be revised to any of the major penalties, and if an inquiry under Rule 20 has not already been held in the case, no such penalty shall be imposed except after inquiring in the manner laid down in Rule 20, subject to the provisions of Rule 25, and except after consultation with the Commission where such consultation is necessary, provided also that subject to the provisions of Rule 25, the revising authority shall, where the enhanced penalty which the revising authority proposed to impose is one of specified in clause 4 of Rule 9 and falls within the scope of the provisions contained in Sub-Rule 2 of Rule 22, and where an inquiry in the manner laid down in Rule 20 has not already been held in the case, itself holds such inquiry or direct that such inquiry be held in accordance with the provisions of Rule 20, and thereafter, on a consideration of the proceedings of such inquiry, pass such orders as it may deem fit, provided further that no power of revision shall be exercised by the head of the department unless the authority which made the order in appeal, or the authority to which an appeal would lie where no appeal has been preferred is subordinate to him. No proceeding for revision shall be initiated or commenced until after the expiry of period of limitation for preparing an appeal, or the disposal of the appeal where any such appeal has been preferred. The government servant may, however, prefer A revision petition for revising the order of penalty within a period of 1 year after the appeal petition to the prescribed appellate authority is disposed of. An application for revision shall be dealt within the same manner as if it were under these rules. Review. Rule 41. The government may exercise the power to review any order passed under these rules only on the reference made by the head of the department when any new material or evidence which could not be produced or was not available at the time of passing the order under review and which has the effect of changing the nature of the case has come or has been brought to its notice, provided that no order imposing or enhancing any penalty shall be made by the government unless the government servant concerned has been given a reasonable opportunity of making a representation against the penalty proposed, or where it is proposed to impose any of the major penalties specified in Rule 9 or to enhance the minor penalty imposed by the order sought to be reviewed to any of the major penalties, and if an inquiry under Rule 20 has not already been held in the case, no such penalty shall be imposed except after inquiring the manner laid down in Rule 20, subject to the provisions of Rule 25, and except after consultation with the Commission where such consultation is necessary, provided further that the government shall exercise the power of review within a period of 3 years. Miscellaneous Part 8 Rule 42 Service of Orders, Notices, etc. Every order, notice and other process made or issued under these rules shall, if he is on duty, be served on the government servant by delivering or tendering it in person. If he is on leave or under suspension or otherwise absent, be communicated to him by registered post to the address given by him, if any, or of his usual place of residence. If it cannot be so served or communicated, be published in the Andhra Pradesh Gazette. Rule 43. Power to relax time limit and to condone delay. Save as otherwise expressly provided in these rules, the authority competent under these rules to make any order may, for good and sufficient reasons, or if sufficient cause is shown, extend the time specified in these rules for anything required to be done under the rules or condone any delay. Rule 44. Supply of copy of Commission's advice. Whenever the Commission is consulted, a copy of the advice given by the Commission, and where such advice has not been accepted, also a brief statement of the reasons for such non-acceptance shall be furnished to the government servant concerned, along with a copy of the order passed in this case by the authority making the order. Rule 45. Repeal and saving. The Andhra Pradesh Civil Services Rules 1963 issued in GOMS number 1376 General Administration Department dated 20th November 1963 insofar as they relate to the services specified in these rules are hereby repealed, provided that such repeal shall not affect the previous operation of the said rules or any notification or order made or anything done or any action taken thereunder. Any proceedings under the said rules pending at the commencement of these rules shall be continued and disposed of as far as may be in accordance with the provisions of these rules, as if such proceedings were in proceedings under these rules. Nothing in these rules shall operate to deprive any person of any right of appeal which he would have had if these rules had not been made in respect of any order passed before the commencement of these rules. An appeal pending at the time when or preferred after these rules came into force shall be deemed to be an appeal under these rules, and Rule 37 shall apply as if the appeal were against an order appealable under these rules. As from the commencement of these rules, any appeal or application for revision or review against any orders made before such commencement shall be preferred or made under these rules as if such orders were made under these rules, provided that nothing in these rules shall be construed as reducing any period of limitation for any appeal, revision or review provided by any rule in force before the commencement of these rules. Rule 46. Removal of doubts. If any doubts arises as to the interpretation of any of the provisions of these rules, the matter shall be referred to the government. Decision shall be final. decision shall be final.